Hi, and welcome to another episode of Boozing with Boomers. I'm Dave, and I've been on a quest to learn how to make a great balanced cocktail. So please hit the subscribe button so we can go on this journey together. Today we're going to make the Aperol Spritz, which is often described as an Italian sunset in a glass, which I'll show you a little bit later. This is a lighter in alcohol cocktail that is an aperitivo that you will find served everywhere in Padua, Italy, where Aperol has been produced since 1919. However, it wasn't until the 1950s when Aperol became the most popular apéritif, overtaking Campari, and published their recipe for the Aperol Spritz that this cocktail became famous. A little side note is I always thought apéritif, which was French for bitter cocktail, and aperitivo, which is Italian, meant the same thing. But in doing some research, I found out that, yes, while apéritif is a bitter like Aperol or Campari, aperitivo is really a bitter drink meant to be combined with food. So when you go to Padua, Italy, what you will see is the Aperol Spritz, but with snacks and maybe some charcuterie as they're preparing to have dinner. So it's always a before dinner drink. The key to an aperitif is it tends to be dry or bitter, and that tends to whet your appetite, so it gets you to salivate so that you want food as well. So they go really well with food. For those of you that are not fans of Campari or overly bitter drinks, I think you might like the Aperol, especially the Aperol Spritz, because this doesn't come across as bitter forward. There's definitely a bitterness there, but it's much more subdued because of some of the orange or sweetness coming out of the Aperol as well. So I'd like you to try it and then let me know what you think. The other thing about an Aperol Spritz that makes this kind of an easy cocktail is you don't need a big setup. Anytime that you're working with a Prosecco or a champagne anyway, you're not going to really stir it too much or shake it too much. You just want to do it enough to blend the ingredients so that each sip has the combination of everything. And so really it's a 3-2-1 recipe. 3 ounces of Prosecco, 2 ounces of Aperol, 1 ounce of your favorite sparkling or club soda. And like the other drinks, as long as you keep the proportion, so if you want to make a big batch for people and then pour it out of a pitcher, even though you got to worry about the bubbles, that'll work as well. As you can make a big pitcher of these and then pour it out to everybody on your patio. So let's get started. So as I said, we had 3 ounces, and I prepared this before we got started, but because of the bubbles, since I just opened this bottle, and I'll probably make a mess, hopefully that'll go down by the time I have to come back to it. So it's 1 ounce of sparkling water or club soda, 2 ounces of the Aperol, and then 3 ounces of Prosecco. Now, Prosecco, like champagne, it comes in different levels of dryness. So I'm using an extra dry. I happen to like the dry. But if you have a favorite Prosecco or sparkling wine that you like that's a little sweeter, try it with this as well. I don't think it'll get overly sweet, but there is some sweetness already in the Aperol. So I prefer to stick with the dry for myself. Then you could put the cubes in. This is also one of those drinks, you don't have to be too particular. I mean, you could put the cubes in before or after so you don't splash all over the place. And then just take an orange wheel or half an orange wheel as I have and just drop it in. You could put it on the side, but really the orange wheel will actually, or the orange slice, will actually bring out more of the orange flavors in the Aperol. So let's see how I did. What I like about this drink, especially if if you've had bitter drinks before with Campari, which can be an overpowering bitter, I tend to like it. But with Aperol, you've got a little more sweetness and a little bit of the orange, coupled with Prosecco, which has its own sweetness in there, even if it's extra dry. And it really gives you a good balance of flavors. It's very light, it's refreshing, but it's also an easy thing to keep topping off with your sparkling or a little bit of the Prosecco to kind of sip through it as you're preparing for dinner. So you don't have too much alcohol in your system before you eat dinner. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe so we can go on this journey with Boozing with Boomers together. Thank you and cheers.